Have you ever felt like you are putting in the work, showing up, grinding through the sets, pushing through the pain, but something is still missing? Like the results stopped matching the effort somewhere along the way. Like there is a ceiling you keep hitting no matter how much weight you add to the bar. There is a reason for that, and it has nothing to do with how hard you train. The modern gym was built around one idea: movement produces strength. And that idea is not wrong, it is just incomplete. Because there is a second type of training that produces strength gains that movement simply cannot match. A type that requires no equipment, no gym, and no movement whatsoever. And it has been so completely removed from how men train today that most people have never once encountered it. And yet, there was a time where the strongest men alive built their bodies entirely around it. Not as a program, but as the unavoidable physical cost of daily survival. The Vikings never trained the way you do. They held, under sustained load, without relief, for as long as the demand required. And research has since confirmed that this specific method produces strength and muscle gains that dynamic training at the same effort level cannot replicate. In this video, you will learn exactly what those holds were, why the science confirms they build strength faster than lifting, and how to implement all 5 into your training starting today. Subscribe and recover what was forgotten, and stay to the end, because the 5th hold targets the single most neglected muscle group in modern fitness, the one your current program almost certainly skips entirely. Before we start with the first hold, I need you to think about the following question. Do you know why your legs fail on heavy squats before anything else does? Apparently, it is the architecture of the exercise itself. Every rep gives you a fraction of a second at the top where the tension resets. Your muscles cycle, take turns, and recover briefly. And most of modern training is built on that cycle. But in the late 9th century, Norse warriors did something else entirely. They lashed their longships together side by side until the fleet became a single floating platform. Then they stood on the decks, shields locked, and held. Against opponents storming across that same platform, the shield wall became a physical contest of sustained leg drive and body tension, for however long the battle demanded. No top position to stand up to, no reset between reps, just static leg drive for as long as the battle demanded. That physical demand has a modern equivalent, and most people are doing it wrong. Because here is what nobody tells you about the wall sit. It is a muscle fiber recruitment test. In a regular squat, your muscles cycle through available fibers and rotate them as fatigue builds. The body distributes the load and manages the demand. In a wall sit, that rotation stops. Every available fiber contracts simultaneously, all of them, at once, with no cycling and no relief. A 2019 systematic review by Orenchuk and colleagues in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science in Sports confirmed that sustained static contractions with high intent produce significant gains in strength, hypertrophy, and tendon resilience, benefits not consistently found in dynamic training at equivalent effort levels. Here is how to do it correctly. Find a wall. Slide down until your thighs are parallel to the ground and your knees sit at exactly 90 degrees. Push through your heels, not your toes. That single adjustment shifts the load from the quadriceps alone into the glutes and hamstrings simultaneously. At the same time, your back should be flat, no arching. 20 seconds if you are starting out, build toward 45, then 60. 3 sets. Add a weight plate on the thighs when 60 seconds feels manageable. That is exactly where the shield wall held, and exactly where the strength gets built. The shield wall built legs that could hold a formation under assault. But Viking sailors needed something entirely different, a strength that no leg exercise touches, built by gripping something that would cost them everything if they let go. How long can you hang from a bar? When you are just gripping and hanging, shoulders engaged, feet off the floor? Most people hit 20 seconds before the grip fails, but Viking sailors, crossing the North Sea on longships in the 9th and 10th centuries, maintained grip on rope rigging under load during storms, maneuvers, and open water crossings that lasted days. The Gokstad ship carried a crew of up to 32 oarsmen, every one of whom depended on sustained grip endurance for basic function aboard. Partial rigging preservation found with the Oseberg ship confirms rope-based systems requiring active grip management in rough conditions. Losing grip on ship rigging in open water was not a training setback. It was fatal. Here is what nobody tells you about the dead hang. Most people train their back by pulling. The dead hang trains it by resisting gravity, a fundamentally different demand that builds grip endurance, lat activation, and shoulder decompression that dynamic pull-ups leave completely untouched. So here is what to do. Grip a pull-up bar, feet off the floor. Pull the shoulders down and back, not shrugged up near the ears. Feel the lats engage from the first second, and hold. Orthopedic surgeon John Kirsch spent years documenting how regular hanging reduces and in some cases reverses shoulder impingement without surgery. The mechanism is passive decompression, the shoulder joint opening under the body's own weight, restoring space that modern desk-based posture progressively destroys. Sailors gripping ship lines daily were maintaining that space constantly without knowing the mechanism existed. For beginners, try hangs of 20 seconds, 3 sets. If you are intermediate, try 45 seconds continuously, 3 sets. And for advanced, try a single arm progression, 10 seconds on each side. Grip built the pulling chain, but Viking warriors trained a hold that targets the rear shoulder and upper back in a way no pressing exercise and no pulling exercise replicates. A hold built from drawing a weapon they had been training with since childhood. When did you last train your rear shoulder directly? Under genuine load, in the fully retracted position, held for time. If the answer is never, then your posture, your shoulder health, and your pulling strength have a ceiling you cannot train through from the front. But the Vikings, they knew better. Bows recovered from Norse archaeological contexts indicate draw weights of approximately 70 to 100 pounds. Every archer drawing and holding that load before release was sustaining an isometric contraction of the rear deltoid, rhomboids, and external rotators, the exact muscle group that modern training consistently fails to load directly. Look at any standard training week. Bench press, overhead press, push-ups, dips. The front of the shoulder receives attention every session. The rear shoulder, the group responsible for holding posture upright, preventing impingement, and determining long-term shoulder health, is treated as an afterthought. Viking archers were training it under maximum load, repeatedly, from the moment they were old enough to draw a bow. The Orenchuk 2019 review confirms that isometric contractions at longer muscle lengths produce superior hypertrophy compared to shortened range equivalents. The fully retracted shoulder position, the exact position of a held bow draw, is the lengthened position for the rear deltoid and rhomboids. That is precisely where the training stimulus produces the most growth. Stand facing a resistance band or cable at shoulder height. Pull one arm back as if drawing a bow, elbow high, shoulder blade driving toward the spine, and hold the full draw position for time. Rear deltoid, rhomboids, and external rotators under maximum sustained tension. 3 sets of 15 to 30 seconds on each side. 2 holds remaining. The final one builds the muscle group that every other movement depends on, because the bow draw fixed the rear shoulder. But Viking life demanded full body rigidity under sustained load, not a single joint in isolation. And the hold that builds it is the one most people write off as too easy to do anything. Here is a question most people cannot answer honestly. Can you hold a perfect plank for 30 seconds? Not a sloppy one, but a perfect plank. One straight line from skull to heel. If you are not completely sure, you already have your answer. The Varangian trade route required Vikings to physically carry their boats overland across land bridges between waterways. When you carry a boat, every muscle from head to heel engages simultaneously to transfer force without structural collapse. The moment one joint buckled, one link in the chain failed, the load dropped. And here is how this is related to the plank. Because the plank is not a core exercise, it is a full body stability test. And most people have never actually taken it properly. Forearms on the ground, elbows directly under the shoulders. Imagine someone is about to drive a fist into your stomach. Brace your entire core for the impact. Squeeze the glutes until they cramp. Pull the shoulder blades down and back. Create tension in the quads. One straight line from skull to heel. Every muscle in the body is now working. Research on isometric full body holds confirms activation of the transverse abdominis and deep spinal stabilizers, the muscles that every dynamic core exercise consistently fails to fully recruit. These are the muscles that stabilize the spine before force can be generated through it. Without them, every movement you do leaks power. The ship plank built full body rigidity under load, but there is one final hold, built from hours on the oars, that targets the most neglected muscle group in modern training. The one that determines posture, pulling strength, and lower back health. And the one that every Viking oarsman was training constantly, while modern gyms have quietly ignored it for decades. Viking oarsmen spent hours on each crossing in sustained posterior chain extension. The spine extended, the glutes loaded, the hamstrings under tension at the drive phase of every stroke. The Skoldilev ships confirm crews of up to 60 rowers performing this demand across North Sea and Atlantic routes documented in the sagas. Hours of rowing during ocean crossings, alternated with sail when wind allowed, represented sustained posterior chain engagement repeated across every voyage the Norse world documented. And here is what nobody tells you. We spend our entire lives hunched forward. Desk, phone, car, the muscles that pull us back into extension, the erector spinae running the full length of the spine, the glutes, the rear deltoids, the traps, have been lengthened and underloaded for years. Luckily, this hold is the direct antidote. Lie face down, stretch both arms forward, simultaneously lift arms, chest, and legs a few inches off the ground. Not a lot, just enough to feel the bow forming through the body. Everything lifting toward the center. Hold and breathe throughout. The Oranchuk 2019 review confirms that isometric training at longer muscle lengths, which is exactly the lengthened position of the posterior chain, produces superior strength and hypertrophy compared to shortened range equivalents. That is what hours on the oars built into every Norse oarsman who crossed the North Sea. And there you have it. 5 holds, the complete Viking system. Every hold in this video replicates a physical demand that Norse existence placed on the body without asking, and the strength it built was not a cultural side effect. It was the predictable biological output of isometric contraction applied to the right positions at the right intensity across an entire lifetime. The Viking way exists to recover exactly what has been lost. Subscribe for more forgotten knowledge.